Hey folks, we've got a coalition of Republicans in the House of Representatives. I'm talking about 63 individuals got up there today. Elise Stefanik and Matt Gaetz is the ones that put this resolution together. And if you don't know what a resolution is, a congressional resolution, let me tell you right quick before we get into this. It says a resolution is not a law, rather they are expressions of the sentiments of either the House or the Senate. They do these resolutions to try to put feelers out to try to figure out how many people would be on board with a new law or a new piece of legislation. It's kind of a way of gauging the who's on board with it, who's not. I believe that's the way they do a lot of. That's the way a lot of these bills get introduced, just as resolutions of who's on board. There was about an hour plus press conference today. House of Representatives, Republicans, 63 of them, promoted a resolution stating that Trump did not gauge in insurrection on January 6th, and a good percentage of them also stated that the election was stolen. And there was even a few other great things that were stated during this event. Things like those folks that are locked up, they weren't treated fairly. The folks in January 6th were not treated fairly. What about the people that were BLM rioters that are not insurrectionists as far as Democrat terms go? And they're free to walk the streets. A lot of things like that were brought up today when we had several of these representatives come through. There was Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, which I'll bring you first of all, and several representatives that I have never followed before. But some of them had some really good things to say. I listened to this whole thing in entirety today. It's basically just like a press conference, but there was actually some good tidbits of information in it I thought I would share with y'all. And I'm glad to see some of this information is being talked about and exposed. It does actually draw a line in the sand as to who will jump on board with the 63. Will there be members of the Senate that jump on board and do their own thing? This is a line in the sand. Do you want Trump back or not? If you're not against the Department of Justice going after Trump, if you're not against the fact that the ruling against Trump on the appeals court about him not having presidential immunity, if that bothers you, this is the way the Republican Party that actually care about this country, care about the future of our presidency, including in 2024 with Trump. So we got people that are actually fighting back, standing up, trying to get something started and bringing it to people's attention, if nothing else. Like I said, Matt Gaetz and Elise Stefanik are the ones that chaired this resolution. There were several other people that J.D. Vance also co-sponsored it. But it was pretty amazing to see that 63 were willing to stand up and say, we know what happened that day, and the narrative, the spin, the lies of these crazy Democrats, that's not the truth. And I'm glad to see these folks call it out. There was a couple of minutes here of Marjorie Taylor Greene. She says some things that absolutely needed to be said. And I've got two more clips after that of a couple of different representatives that I've never played for y'all before, as far as any footage of them. And I don't know these guys from past news and studying Congress, but I do know that they know what happened in 2020, just from the things that are coming out of their mouth. I'm glad to see some people standing up. Now we're going to find out how many more of these people between now and election, after they realize Trump's going to be the winner, are going to jump on board with Team Trump, or are they going to turn their nose up at him and not get on board with these 63. We're fixing to find out, folks. It's going to be a line in the sand, no joke. Now stick around. This video will be a little bit long, but we got some fire from Marjorie Taylor Greene and some really interesting information coming out, including people in Congress saying you have the right to contest electoral votes. You have the right to have alternate electors. You have the right, as president and as a citizen, to call foul in your election if you don't think things will run properly. I love to hear all this stuff. I wish mainstream media would cover some of these conversations that were had today, and I just thought I'd bring y'all some of it. So here we go. Let's jump straight into it. Uh-oh. Hold on. I got disclaimered. Where we at? There we go. Apologize, folks. Wikipedia disclaimer.
Not one single person has been charged with insurrection. Not one single person has been convicted with insurrection. Not one. In every single court of our land, no one's been charged and convicted with insurrection, yet Democrats and dishonest people in the media every single day accuse President Trump of waging an insurrection and accuse many of us of waging an insurrection, and you're doing nothing but lying and selling the lies of the Democrats, all for campaigns and elections. Shame on every single person that has done that. Shame on you. You need to tell the truth. You have the freedom of press, one of the greatest rights in this entire world. And anyone that puts the word insurrectionist, calls President Trump an insurrectionist, and calls any of us an insurrectionist is a liar, and you do not deserve the power that you possess. Shame on you.
That's right.
Shame on you.
Shame on them.
Let me give you guys a little history lesson, okay? When President Trump was inaugurated, Antifa and leftist rioters nearly burned down Washington, D.C. Did you call it an insurrection? No. BLM raised millions of dollars on the Act Blue Democrat fundraising website, and then proceeded to cause $2 billion in damages across American cities and communities, all in 2020, every day. Not one day for 3 hours, every damn day. Did you call it an insurrection? They attacked police officers, federal courthouses, tore down statues, burned 93 police vehicles. Did you in the media call it an insurrection? No, you did not. You called it mostly peaceful. And you lied to the American people, and the American people don't trust you anymore because of that. And then the American people who pay for elections with their tax dollars actually own the elections and have the right to care about their elections, election integrity, and the results of their elections. When they came to Washington and protested, all of you called it an insurrection. And then when Joe Biden was inaugurated and this entire Capitol complex was surrounded with 30,000 National Guard troops, none of you stood there and called that an insurrection. Oh no, you all stayed silent. And while Matthew Graves, the U.S. Attorney at the Department of Justice, is arresting people every single day, throwing them in jail, held them for 22 hours in solitary confinement, unconvicted, all of you stay silent.
She's talking about the J6er, folks, if you're not keeping up. I'm glad she's speaking up about it. Several people today actually spoke up about not just defending Trump, but they defended the sovereignty of our country, the J6 prisoners, and the fact that most of the conversation that the left is using,
no one attacks them for
is nothing but narrative.
That. Apparently, you think it's deserved. Shame on you. And I want you to know the American people are paying attention. They're not stupid just because you tell them in your articles and in your headlines and on your networks that Trump is an insurrectionist or any of us are insurrectionists. No, as a matter of fact, you're hurting your own careers and you're hurting your industry for lying to them. So I would like to thank you, Matt, very much. And I would like to thank Elise Stefanik for introducing this resolution. And I cannot believe we even have to do this because Democrats and liars in the media accuse President Trump of being an insurrectionist when in fact he is not. He said, go in peace. Go in peace. God bless President Trump. God bless him for saying we should care about our elections. And I want you to know, because of that, Americans do care about our elections. And we have...
Y'all catch that? We do have the right to question our elections, and thank God Trump was the voice who was willing to stand up for this country and say, these things ain't running right. Thank God for people like Mike Lindell and all the soldiers out there that have done their best to expose this stuff, promote the information out there to get transparency wherever possible, shared this information. I'm even talking about you listeners. If you shared a video about stolen elections, you're part of this too. Um, it all needs to come out. And the more we can talk about it openly, like these folks are doing, the more the media will eventually be the background noise, will be the white noise in the background versus the real volume. Truth be known, I think the lies are dying on the vine, and it's because people have realized the media has run amok and crawled up the Democrats' butts and do nothing but pump out lies and narratives for the Democrat Party now. I think now our three-lettered agencies control 100% of the media if they have their way with it. And if not 100%, they probably control close to 90% with their tentacles. Let's get back into it, folks. Marjorie's got them burning them down today.
Every single right to care. Thank you very much. I urge my colleagues to vote for this resolution. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Ronnie Jackson from Texas. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you once again, Matt. I appreciate you doing this as well, for introducing this. This is something that's really important. Unfortunately, it's been a sad few years in the Biden administration, and you know, we've seen lots of things happen. We've seen our southern border an absolute disaster, the security of our border and everything that it's brought with it, the crime and the drugs. We've seen our reputation overseas completely devastated. We've seen our economy take a huge hit because of some of the Biden policies that have been put in place. But I think the biggest danger is the weaponization of government that's taken place in an effort to prevent President Trump from ever being president again. And it started a long time ago, but unfortunately it's happened right here in this very body as well. This body has participated in the weaponization of government, directed specifically at that, at keeping President Trump from ever being reelected and from becoming president again. And we saw that during the January 6th committee, which was a complete disgrace, led by Democrats such as Liz Cheney and Adam Schiff and others. We saw what happened there. That we found out since then that this committee was put in place for no other reason other than to tear President Trump down. We've seen now they've been discredited. We found out that some of the information that they had, some of the evidence that they collected, which most likely was evidence that undermined their case against President Trump, has been destroyed. And this, unfortunately, is just the very beginning
Shameful.
of a long period of time where the Democrats have tried every single thing possible, every tool at their disposal to go after President Trump. They're very single-minded on this. This is all they care about, is do not let President Trump be on the ballot. Do not let him be eligible to run. And for God's sake, do not let him become president again or put him back in the White House. I can tell you that the American people have weighed in on this. He has overwhelming support in this country right now. He will be elected again. He was our 45th president, the best president we've ever had in this country, and he will be our 47th president again.
That's right.
So I just want to say that this whole process should not be necessary. What's happening in this country right now is an absolute disgrace. And I want to thank Matt once again for your courage to bring this forward and to reiterate to the American people that this is not the way we operate here in this country. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Matt Rosendale.
Now, I thought Matt Rosendale was a rhino. I watched the way he voted a couple of times, and I've seen his name on the roster as far as voting on things that I wouldn't vote on, spending packages mostly. But he says some things here that I think absolutely need to be said. This is the video, part of the video clip that should be turned into shorts and promoted to 1 million views. Just because he's telling the truth. No cleaner, no more of a pure, honest statement of the facts, undeniable for anybody that was paying attention. That's not got this cloud of socialism hanging over their head or clouded over their eyes, whichever it be. Listen to this guy, folks. Rosendale. This is amazing. Just for the fact of the way he calls it out.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. It's nice to see the press actually participate in some truth that's being spread around the Capitol, because many times we've got a lot of rhetoric and misinformation that gets spread. I really appreciate Matt Gaetz and Elise Stefanik introducing this legislation so that we can get on the record the people that support President Trump, that understand and are willing to declare that there was not an insurrection that took place on January 6th. I was here. Many of my colleagues were here, and so we do witness and know that it was not an insurrection. President Trump did not engage in an insurrection on January 6th, as shown by multiple courts which have already dismissed these bogus charges.
That's right.
This is nothing more than election interference. It is on full display, and we would appreciate if the media would just start coming forward and admitting to that. It should be just as easy for Congress to pass this resolution as it is for the courts to dismiss those cases. Or, as I like to say, if we were trying to pass a resolution to spend another several $billion to help, say, Ukraine, maybe then we could get everybody in Congress lined up to support the resolution, because those seem to go through pretty fast. So let's get everybody on this now so that we can put out in the public sphere that Congress does recognize that there was not an insurrection that took place on January 6th, just as the courts have already put in the record. Whether the charges were brought in Michigan or Minnesota, they've been dismissed. I look forward to the Supreme Court doing the exact same thing and vindicating our president so we can be on with this removal of him from different ballots. I've stood with President Trump since the beginning, including when I voted against the electors on January the 6th. After numerous credible allegations of election fraud were shared with us, after numerous allegations of state officials changing the election process without legislative approval. Those are the facts, folks. Those are the facts. And the Electors Act gave us the ability, gave us the directive to refuse to accept those electors if we didn't feel that they were properly awarded. And so myself, and I would say everyone here that's not a freshman, voted against the electors from Arizona. That's correct. And we voted against the electors from Pennsylvania. That's correct, because that information and those facts were there. And the facts, again, will come clear. And as I always say, the truth isn't always pretty, but it is always the truth. The truth will prevail. It will be shown that President Trump did not cause this insurrection. And then once again, we can eliminate this election interference that has been conducted upon him for so long. I appreciate your time, and I would like to introduce my good friend from Missouri, Representative Eric Burleson.
Wow. I think that needed to be said, folks. Yeah, our elections have been tampered with probably since the beginning of this country, to be honest. And for them to have screamed, remember those famous words? It was no voter fraud, no election fraud, no irregularities. And then it ended up downgrading to not enough election fraud to overturn the results, or not enough election fraud. So how much is enough? When the left-wing mainstream media got to the narrative that there was not enough election fraud to change the results, that was an assumption on their part. That was them admitting there was some kind of irregularities or fraud going on. They just didn't want to calculate it because they assumed it wasn't enough to think about. It was a way to try to brush it off. We all know this at this point. But I never forget the way the media treated the American people. They treated us like we were stupid, like we didn't see it with our own eyes, like we didn't know when shenanigans were going on and there was video footage to back it up. I'm talking about what happened in Detroit, what happened in Georgia, what happened in with the machines in Arizona. We know, folks. We're awake, and thank God we've got 63 House of Representative members. Wish it was all 220 or 21 members, but at least we've got to start. We've got 63 members willing to stand up there and say, look, you're not treating the J6 prisoners right. If BLM riots were not an insurrection, how is this an insurrection? Trump is not an insurrectionist, never been charged with it. The American people deserve something better than a weaponized Department of Justice. And then there was the great Marjorie Taylor Greene just burning the press down for being such lying piece of crap cowards carrying the water for the Socialist Democrat Party. That's what I got for you folks. There's several more of these clips. There was, like I said, there was about Andy Biggs and Stefanik, Matt Gaetz, many of the great fighters we have in the House of Representatives got up there and periodically spoke for 2 or 3 minutes, as you see, and just give their opinion. Hopefully we'll get something going as far as a consensus as to who's on Team Trump and who's not, and I think this will be the line in the sand from this point forward. We'll see, folks, how that goes. Let's see where this resolution goes. Like I said, this is just the beginning stages. Everybody have a great day. Like, subscribe, and share if you haven't done all that stuff already. Smash them buttons. You know how it goes. Over and out, folks.